Segment Shmone, Nikud Achat, Nikud Vav. Uvrit et Mavet Hakimota. Uvrit et Mavet Hakimota. In this segment, you'll practice composing brief letters, some of commendation, some of indictment. Notice the Jonah episode excerpt found in the heading, Uvrit et Mavet Hakimota. In these words, we hear the prophet delivering an indictment to the king of Nineveh. Over the next few minutes, you'll learn the various elements that you'll be asked to include in the letters that you'll compose for this activity. The ensuing segment will provide vocabulary, in particular, he feel verbs, which you'll be asked to draw from in the composition. As a result, as soon as you finish studying the instructions in this segment, you'll want to move directly to the next segment in order to be aware of the verbs from which you may draw to complete this segment. Here are the instructions. Please draft 3 short letters. Take a moment to look at the forms that you'll be using to record these letters. Use one of these forms for each letter. Please make a point to include at least one he feel verb using the katal conjugation in each letter. And now for the topic or thrust of your letters. Begin by selecting 3 different historic figures. This list of historic figures can help you narrow your search. You'll be making 3 selections, 1 selection for each letter. Among your 3 selections, please ensure that at least one involves a man or men, another involves a woman or group of women. Also, ensure that one of the 3 is singular from the 2 lists on the left, individual men, individual women, and ensure that at least one is plural from the 2 lists on the right, groups of men or groups of women. The elements just covered are indicated in item 1. Then proceed to write 3 letters, 1 to each of the 3 that you have selected. Now step 3. Among those letters, let one be cast as first person. This means that you'll be writing as if you yourself are that person that you've selected, or that group of persons that you've selected. As a result, you'll be writing or speaking about yourself. If it's a letter of commendation, then it will sound like self-congratulating. I did such a good job with this event. Or self-condemnation. I did this and it was a wrong thing to do. 3b, cast another letter as second person. That is, imagine that you are speaking to the person that you have selected. If it's Abraham Lincoln, saying, you, Mr. Lincoln, have done such and such, either good or bad. A 3rd letter should be cast as third person. And now, the selected individual or group is not present in your imagination, but rather you're talking with a friend about that other person, as if you're talking to a friend about Abraham Lincoln and saying, let me tell you about Abraham Lincoln. Now 3rd person, he did such and such. So once again, 1 letter, first person, another, second person, and another, third person. All of these will be using the katal conjugation, and you'll ensure that at least 1 sentence within each composition takes advantage of using a he feel in the katal. Here's a refinement you may want to take into consideration. Suppose, for example, that you're writing a letter of commendation and you're commending a sequence of 2 events, 2 actions which this person has performed. Perhaps action 1, you rescued a child. Action 2, you went on to feed that child since he or she was hungry. By now you know that in typical Hebrew, that sequential event, by rights should be a vayiktol. Not a katal, but a vayiktol. The vayiktol for the he feel will be introduced in the next module, Since you do not have that form available to you as yet, please refrain from using a he-feel vayiktol. Thus, if the second in sequence is a he-feel event, refrain from using a vayiktol for the time being. If it's in the call or nifal binyan, since we do have vayiktols for those already, feel free to use them. Step number 4, among your 3 letters, let one be cast as a commendation, affirming a good quality or a good accomplishment that someone has performed, while another, one of your 3 letters, should express an indictment, a condemnation, such as we find from time to time among the messages delivered by the Hebrew prophets. Step number 5, please record each of your letters in one of those 3 blank forms. Let's look at those once more. Notice in the upper right of the first form, it's labeled first person letter. This is where you should record your letter written as though you are that individual. You are Abraham Lincoln. The blank labeled ID is where you would write the character or the group. So write Abraham Lincoln. Arabic numeral 1, commendation or indictment. Check one of the 2 boxes. Again, check one of the 2 boxes indicating whether this letter, this particular one, is a commendation or is cast as an indictment. Arabic numeral 2, masculine or feminine. Is this one that you've selected to be a sample of your masculine composition, or is the character that you've chosen feminine? And then Arabic numeral 3, singular or plural. Is this a single individual like Abraham Lincoln, or is it a group like Nehemiah and his officials? If singular, check the box to the right of that. If plural, check the box to the right of the word plural. You're being asked for each letter to compose 2 sentences. You'll notice that there are 3 blanks. The last sentence line is optional. Only use it if you need it. Otherwise, 2 sentences for each letter will be fully adequate. Remember to write a translation in your native language under each Hebrew line that you write. To help you with this composition activity, the next segment will provide a collection of he-feel verbs in the katal conjugation.